and welcome to the start of another weekly reading vlog. And if you hear ambiance, it's either the cat or really interesting music. Who knows? You never know what you're gonna get in an apartment these days. But I have a really fun reading week planned for myself, I think. I will start with a book I kind of teased in my last vlog, which as always I'll have a video linked in the cards of my last week's vlog. But I have started my reread of Dune. So this is my boyfriend's copy. It's gorgeous. I don't think Barnes & Noble even sells this one anymore. I think they changed it, but I really like this copy. Has really pretty inside covers too, and I just like how it feels. But so I've been reading from this one because I don't know, it feels cool, and then I've been annotating my secondhand mass paperback that I bought at like a half-price book 5 years ago because I'm like, this looks like a classic sci-fi I should be reading. I think I can handle it because I just started reading Asimov again, and at first when I first read Asimov in college, I could not read it. It was too dry. My brain did not have the focus, especially while being a physics major. I was like, nope, brain can't do that right now. And so I was like, oh, well, if I can read Asimov now, because in grad school I was actually really enjoying Foundation, I was like, I bet I could read Dune. And I'm having the same surprise now that I did back then, that Dune is such a modern feeling sci-fi. It's almost like, I don't know how to explain it, but it came out in 1965, but the way that the world building's done, the way that the characters are so vibrant to me, and the way I can relate these characters to a lot of characters that probably were inspired by these characters today is just really cool. Sorry, Fuzz needed attention. So anyways, I was saying Duke Leto is a character in this book. So what's happening is this family, because I don't know how often people talk about the plot of Dune, but this family has to move from their home planet to Dune. It has a different name that I can't remember, but it's the desert planet, because of political stuff, and they're prepared to be like attacked. It's very Game of Thrones political tension vibe. Like, it extremely reminds me of that, but I don't know, the parts that I really loved about the Game of Thrones political tension, which I don't really know how to describe, but Duke Leto reminds me of Ned Stark so hard. Or should I say Ned Stark reminds me of Duke Leto, because Ned Stark, I think, was written in the 90s first. I don't know when the first book of Song of Ice and Fire came out, but I think it was early 90s. But so that's really cool. And then Paul, he's definitely a Messiah, Jesus character, and also, so I think this came up in like Ender's Game, and it comes up in other games. You have this really young for the intellect and skill that they have, proportionally speaking. Like, not only is he a chosen one, but he's an extremely competent one. And the author's even aware of it. It's like, it's not that 15-year-olds are expected to be this good. He's just exceptional, which I think some people get tired of that trope, but I think when it's done well, I really enjoy it, and I really like what's happening here. I like that the world building is primarily done through dialogue, and you're sometimes given enough information that you know things, and other times you have to piece it together. I like the balance between info dumping and dialogue, and also just like, okay, I need to keep track of this idea, because they didn't really explain it, but I kind of want to know more about this, like, word in this world sort of thing, which I know can be off-putting for some people because it's like, that's a word I don't know, so my brain is gonna like freeze up. I don't think there's so many of those words that it's bad. Maybe in the first two chapters it's a little overwhelming, but I really love it. It's great. I'm having a really fun time getting back into Dune because it's a sci-fi world I didn't expect to like when I first picked it up as much as I do. And now in rereading it, I'm like, oh, this is still holding up. I'm still very much enjoying my time, and I'm enjoying analyzing it a little bit more in-depthly, like tabbing up my book over here. So yeah. So that's one thing I'm working on this week. And stop it. He's such a snot, isn't he? Look at that. Look at his face. He is incorrigible. Anyways, I'm also reading Scythe with Jade at Bedtime Bookworm, and she has showed me a whole new way to buddy read that I'm really about. It's like with voice messaging, and I'm like a bad Venezuelan who hates to voice message people, but now I'm starting to see why people do it, which, yeah, I guess I'll have to apologize to my dad and my cousin when I always complain about how often they just leave me little voice messages. It's a really common thing for my family in Venezuela. I think potentially other countries too, but I only can speak to my little section of the world. But that's been really cool. And so I just started part 3 today, and some stuff happened at the end of part 2. And this book's just really good at pacing a dystopian sci-fi. So this book, it's been around booktube a lot. It's about a world where people don't die anymore. And as a solution of population control, there are scythes. Lord Almighty, look at this thing. And so there are scythes, and they are responsible for gleaning, which is killing people. And so we are experiencing this dystopian world through 2 teenagers who are becoming Scythe apprentices. And it's really cool. And I think the pacing's done really well. Like, it's a really good YA pacing. I'm just really having a fun time with it. It's a really good balance to Dune, which I'm spending like more time on. Although Dune is kind of a quick-paced book, it's just I'm taking it slower because I really want to soak it in this time. And then the last thing I'm working on this week is Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Machado. And I've only read the first 3 short stories, and boy, are they just everywhere. But there is a theme. I don't know, I'm really fascinated by short story collections because I feel like I think more about 20 pages I read in a short story than I can about some 500-page books I read. And I think that's just impressive, and I really want to dig into that more. I mentioned in my previous vlog this month trying to really maybe read a short story collection a week to really figure out what I do and don't want from story collections, and just, I don't know, expand my reading horizons that way. So I don't know if that means maybe I'll do reviews on each short story collection, or maybe I'll do a wrap up on just the short story collections. I haven't decided. I think it'll depend primarily on how much I'll have to say. And you never know what you're going to feel about a book till you pick it up. So yeah, this check-in is already way too long. But yeah, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Well, it's Friday, and I've been reading a lot, but I've finished nothing. But, so let's see. Dune. You can see from my tabbed edition, I've made a fair amount of progress. You can also see it in the beautiful edition. I have made good progress. This is the beginning. This is the end. It's only this much left. I can do books. And I'm really enjoying it. I think so far, book 1 I like more than book 2. This is a book split into 3 parts. And I don't know if I actually explained what it's about in the first part. I think I did the dumb thing of assuming everyone knows what Dune's about because it's so old. But Dune is like the space opera. I could be wrong, and for anyone who's a bigger sci-fi buff than me, feel free to correct me, but I think it's one of like the first, at least, really popular space operas that were ever written. And space opera typically means a story in space with a lot of politics between houses and such. Star Wars is considered... Sorry, my cat is doing a thing. Lila, stop it! Cat's dumb, eating plastic, But... So Star Wars is a space opera. A book I've talked about on my channel, Memory, called Empire is a space opera, etc. It's really kind of vague what it's about, but like when you're reading it, the story feels familiar. And I think it does have a lot of biblical tones to it, and because a lot of things have taken inspiration from this work. Like the political intrigue and drama and backstabbing in this book really makes me remember some of my favorite plot arcs in the Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm not saying that they're the same or that the depth's the same or the writing style. I'm just saying like the big moments of A Song of Ice and Fire that I love, I feel similar vibes when I'm reading this book. So I'm really enjoying it. The second part's just been slower, but not in a bad way. I find with space operas and some sci-fi, I don't necessarily rate my enjoyment based on how quickly I'm reading it all the time. Like I'm really just like, especially on this read through, like soaking it in and, I don't know, appreciating all the themes that are coming through and just the characters and just really trying to make sure I don't miss anything. And in this section, we really get to learn about the freemen, who are kind of more the natives on Dune. I don't mean natives as in like Native American. They're just the people who are familiar with the landscape. It's a desert world, so they're very used to the lack of water and just coexisting with the environment. So we're getting to know them, and that's culturally very interesting to me. I really like that. So yeah, I still have so many questions, because even though this is a reread, I forgot a lot, which is also partly why I'm tabbing it, so I can make myself cohesive thoughts so that, I don't know, when the movie comes out, say, worst case scenario, this movie doesn't come out this year because of the world. then at least then in a year or so, whenever it does come out, I can like reference and like catch myself up and not have to read the whole thing before seeing the movie. Because I do think I'll appreciate the movie more by like being more comfortable in the world. I don't know how user friendly it's going to be. Is it going to be like Harry Potter where they assume you've read the books? Because let's be real, when you watch those later movies, if you haven't read the books, they don't make sense. Or is it going to be, I don't know, more like Hunger Games where they really do, are true to the story? So I don't know. And I know I chose two YA things there, but that's what my brain did, and that's where we're going. I'm also reading Her Body and Other Parties. I've read two short stories since I last checked in for that. One I really liked, and the other I think I liked. One is like a spoof off SVU, Law and Order SVU, and it makes a title and a description for each episode. And you kind of hear the story through these descriptions, which is a really cool idea, and I think pretty well executed, at least in the way she intended. But I also like, if you've ever watched the Too Many Cooks opening fake sitcom thing, where at first you're like, I get this is familiar, and then it just goes off the rail, and you wonder, is there a point? Is there not a point? I think I get it. Those are the emotions I had with that short story. And then the one I read today, it was Women Must Have Bodies. I don't remember what the name of it is, but this one I think the moral was more clear, which I appreciated, and it was kind of more of like a, I don't know, open-ended, weird sci-fi horror-ish, not horror-ish, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It was cool. I liked it. Is really the moral of that story. And I think, at least for this short story collection, I think I will do at least a dedicated video for it, or I will do that dedicated wrap up of short stories. Because I also think I'm going to try and do wrap ups differently and try and like group some things together. I just get really over, I think I just get stressed about wrap ups, and I just think I can do mini reviews in a different way, maybe. We will see. It's a work in progress. And still working on Scythe, still really like it. Uh, I mean, there's two things I really like about reading Scythe right now. One, the book's great. It's a wonderful YA. It does all the YA things I like it to do, and it has all the right dystopian flavors that I like. It's wonderful. I don't really have large complaints about it so far. I mean, there are some plot things where I'm like, did it have to be that way? I mean, what are the rules here? Like, but I'm not concerned about it. The characters are really fun. I don't know. I'm just enjoying it. But also, I've been learning how to buddy read with this voice messaging app, and it's super fun. It feels so personable, and now I've made other friends through it. And it's just like, why did I come to BookTube? To talk about books, and I'm literally getting to verbally talk about books with other book people, and they talk back to me. It's like little pen pal things, and I'm loving it. So yeah, that's this check-in, and my goal is to finish these things and tell you about them in the rest of this vlog. I really should finish them by the week. I've made very good progress in all of them. I'm like at least 70% of the way through all of them. It's just a matter of reading them. All right, bye. Here we are again with another late Monday night ending to this vlog, but I have finished a lot of things and I have been really bad about checking in because I don't know. I've been doing a lot. So I finished first Scythe, which was really good. I I think I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5 only because there's like this one plot thing that just really bothers me. And I've talked about it with Jade a lot, and I don't know if she agrees or not, but there's just this one plot thing that I was like, why? Just why? But otherwise, I really enjoyed the world and the characters and the pacing. It's exactly what I wanted. So it was really fun. I'm excited to continue with that. I've also finished Her Body and Other Parties, and I this was a ride. It was a ride. I'm definitely going to do some sort of review of it. It's hard to do reviews of short story collections, I think, but I've been compiling my thoughts on it already, and I don't know, maybe eventually I'll look into some of the short stories specifically because there are some that I really want to dissect more. It was a good time. Yeah, I don't even know what to rate it, but like I enjoyed my overall experience. Like, so I don't know how many people got mixed CDs or tapes growing up, but that's when I think a short story collection can be like. You have shorter stories, longer ones, the structures can change. The themes might be connected throughout the whole thing, though, right? And that's what I felt. I felt like the themes between the stories were a big connector, but the variety was really enjoyable, and I really liked the order they were put in. I'm like such like a geek about those type of things, at least with mixed CDs. When I used to make those, I was very like, okay, this one has to be first, this one has to be last, and it needs to flow, and I just thought that was done very well here. Stop being a butt. And I also then just now finished Dune, and yeah, it's still a 4 star. So when I first started rereading it, I'm like, why didn't I give this 5? Because I love the first book so much. So there's 3 parts or books to this. I don't know if they were published individually or not, but the first Dune book, not the Children of Dune or the other things, is 3 books. And I think the second book's my least favorite, really drags, and I think the third is my second favorite of it. And in general, I just really like this world. There are some moments I really like. I think when there are political moments, they're my favorite political moments I've ever read. I just think sometimes the pacing is off and the writing style can like be off. It's just a very weird. It reminds me of how I can be a little bipolar with Jordan's writing, where there are just certain chapters that I'm just engrossed in, and others where I'm like could care less. But I'm really glad I reread it, and I did annotate so much. And I haven't read the appendices yet, which I'm going to, because I do like the world and I want to know more about it. But I read the story. I've read all 516 pages in one, and I don't even want to know what that translates to in my mass paperback. So yeah, those are the books I read, and I really enjoyed my reading week. I'm pretty sure that's all I read this week. Yeah. And I also started the webcomic Check Please, and I am laughing out loud so much. I'm really glad R showed it to me, and it's also one of my Sib's favorite webcomics, so they're real excited I'm reading it. It's just so cute, and I like hockey, so maybe, I don't know how much you have to know about hockey to laugh at it, but I am laughing because of some of the hockey things. But also the main character is just this cute kid, and come on, maybe not kid, he's in college, so probably an adult, young adult, who's just like trying to make his way on the team, and he makes a lot of pie, and it's just, I've only like 8 episodes in, but I'm having a wonderful time. But what I spend a lot of my weekend doing is hating myself by watching Parasite and Snowpiercer. So for those who don't know, these are both by the same director, who I'm forgetting his name, but I will put it on the screen because he is a wonderful director. And we watched Parasite because we've been wanting to, right? It's the Oscar winning movie this year, had a lot of buzz. Both my boyfriend and I knew we wanted to watch this movie, and it's available on Hulu. But we wanted to wait till we were in a space to consume it, because it's a, everyone's like always in pieces after watching it, and you don't quite know why. And yeah, it's it's anxiety inducing, but it's so good, like so good. And then I watched Snowpiercer because I realized it's the same director. And it's like, oh, I should have known, because I also had a lot of anxiety after watching Snowpiercer for different reasons. And then I fell down this rabbit hole of how Snowpiercer is the sequel to Willy Wonka, which that video is way more convincing than it should be. And like my boyfriend hadn't seen Snowpiercer, and I'm like, you really should watch it, but I shouldn't watch it again. I've already seen it twice, and it was too much. But then I just watched it again anyways. And what was really cool is, so in last week's vlog, I talked about the Memory Police, and boyfriend and I did film our discussion. I'm excited to eventually get that out to you guys. But there were so many themes in the Memory Police that I was seeing in Snowpiercer, and it was just so good. Like, I was just having a really good mentally connective weekend. I mean, the anxiety's not great, but they was just such quality films. I want to watch more of his stuff. I think Hulu's getting more of it, so yeah, it's just, yeah, really good media that I have been consuming lately, so I'm pretty happy about it. So yeah, also, you guys are seeing it, it's Wednesday, but I'm filming this on Monday, and I just posted my most recent Science Behind the Magic, and I haven't responded to any of the comments yet because I've been really busy reading, but like, I'm just so full of like happiness that it's so well received, and I'm just like so grateful to all you guys who like take a minute to come in and see my sciencey content. I know it's not traditional booktube or anything like that. It just made my Monday happy. So just to thank you there. And he just loves you guys. Just so you know, if there's any doubt in the world, he loves all of you. And I'm not even kidding. Like, he has never hated a human in his life. So yeah, that's it for this one. And yeah, also, if you like the intro, if you like these little animated things, my friend Alyssa, will do it as a commission for money. Um, I don't know what her exact rate is for that, but you can contact her through her Instagram or Etsy, which I will leave down below. But if you want one, I got someone with a lot of free time who, if you pay her, she could get you something fun too. But yeah, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.